Christ is real, there is a very practical application of his gifting to the world that can be used each and every day in each and every interaction that can actually help you navigate, orient your life in a way that helps you receive the peace that passes understanding.
Welcome to the True Wealth Podcast, where happiness is more often found in the soul of someone's wealth rather than the size of it. Money, after all, is a tool. It's not the destination. Money is the fuel to advance your core values and purpose. Join us as we share some inspiring stories, true wealth life lessons, and practical strategies to help you design a life of intention, generosity, and fulfillment. Guests on the True Wealth Podcast are not affiliated with CWM LLC. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Well, welcome back, True Wealth listeners. We again have an exciting episode for you today. So I was going to say back by popular demand, but the last time you were here, your wife Marie was with you. So I don't want to make it that way because she's actually the one that was more popular.
You couldn't be more accurate.
But we do want to welcome Dan LaRock back into our studio. Again, and as I alluded in the last one, there's so many areas that we can talk about. Give us a little bit of your background. You're a philanthropist. I think you believer, husband, father, son.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me more.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for the invitation to be with you today. We appreciate it. Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely. Glad you're here.
Yeah. I'm a son of the one true King. And I try as best as I am able in my humanness to accept invitations every day to try to walk that out with people. I think the way that we live out the invitations of God is through our interactions with others and in relationship with others. I strive to be a good mentor for people in the work world and in their personal lives. In addition, I am a husband to Marie. I am a father to three, and actually now 5. And we can talk about that if you'd like. But at the end of the day, we are grateful for the opportunity to be his hands and feet in all of those interactions each and every day. Executive shareholder at a firm called Hub International, which is a wonderful organization, one of the largest consultancies and B2B insurance relationships, both benefits, risk, and retirement. And I've been with them for 20 years. Wow. And I'm one of the co-founders of an organization called Rock Ranch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enjoyed having you here for that as well. So I understand you went to Franklin Academy
for you today.
You did.
So you know.
Yeah.
You are
Nick wore
representing
the
in
shirt.
a major way.
Yeah,
I'm going to get you multiple colors too. Then
I found that I got this a couple of years ago, and I might need a bigger size. That's my only issue. Either we got a laundry problem, or I got to come back out and get another one.
I think it's definitely a dryer problem.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I got one at the same event that you were at. You notice I'm not wearing mine anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't think they come in quadruple X.
They might. I don't know.
We're gonna remedy. We're gonna remedy
I
that.
wanted to support the brand today. So
But yeah, you graduated from Franklin Academy High School, and then you attended North County Community College. Is that right? You were a student there. Is that where you met Marie?
So I did not do those.
Oh, I thought that's where I read that.
I graduated from Anoka High School.
Oh, interesting.
In the Twin
I
Cities.
have bad information. Bad intel.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh, good.
That's all right. So Anoka, Minnesota is a northwestern suburb of Minneapolis-St. Paul. It was the largest high school in the state the years that I was there. Marie and I met at Moorhead State University in Fargo-Moorhead in 1991. We began dating in 1992. Actually, I began dating her in like May of 92. She began dating me in November of 92. There's some stuff in between there. But at the end of the day, that's where we met, and then we got married, engaged in 93, married in 94.
Yep. And then Luke came along.
Luke came along in 2000.
So I had to read, I think I was reading just background on you. Allie, do you call her Gator?
Yeah, the gator.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I read that twice. I thought, Allie, Gator, what's that? Oh, alligator. I had to read through that a couple times. She's not going to like that. I'm going to have to apologize to her. But
do they all get nicknames or just her?
Just names that rhyme with their name. If it's
Okay.
not, but Allie's the one that has kind of a unique.
Yeah.
She's gonna have a birthday coming up, and she just got married in December.
That's where number 4 is, right? You got 4 and 5. You said you got
Yeah, well,
father
yeah,
of 5.
right. We have 2 goddaughters who through life circumstances are going to be even more a part of our lives now.
okay.
Yeah, and so, but I just got Allie a little bracelet to celebrate kind of her wedding and her birthday, and it's got a gator on it.
Oh, nice.
It's gold, and she was very, very
So what's
excited.
Luke? What you got a nickname for him?
Luke Puke. No kidding.
Nice.
Wow.
We won't ask that. We won't ask her that.
Next time I
I'm
meet
so
him, I'll-
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so
we'll
no.
answer that.
It's Luke. Usually it's like Luke the Duke or Luke. It just stuff.
I
Like
could
that.
just hear Dad.
Yeah, right.
I know that's what I would be getting at that point.
Exactly. Exactly.
Really? So why? One? Several reasons that you could easily have been on this episode, but I want to talk about Grandpa's gift.
Yeah.
For a couple reasons. I know that one of my greatest heroes and influencers was my dad, who was a pastor. My grandpa, I was a little bit more removed from. I was the youngest in our family, and my one grandpa passed away before I really did get to I don't remember ever meeting him. And the other one was a big, intimidating man. When he walked, the house shook. And he was one that I never really got close to, but I'm told that both of them had a wealth of wisdom, and I guess I want to dip into that. So your grandpa was a pastor.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Grandpa's gift. What I really liked, I'm telling you to tell me, then I keep talking. I like the subcategory, how old wisdom can inspire new life.
Yeah.
That really sucked me in. So tell me about Grandpa's gift, how it came to be. And,
Yeah, well,
story
thanks,
to Grandpa.
Kevin. I'm honored to do so. So, my grandfather, C. Maxwell Brown, was born in Beersford, South Dakota, early 1920s, and he spent the bulk of his childhood, here in South Dakota. Then moved because his father was a minister as well.
Okay.
They moved to North Dakota for a call, and he spent the next 30 years in and around towns like Jamestown, North Dakota, Grand Forks, Fargo, New Rockford, places like that, where he graduated high school, and then also became a Methodist minister upon graduation after college, and he began shepherding those parsonages in those communities all around North Dakota.
Okay.
He was done doing that in 1960. I was born in 1970, so. The last 10 years of his career, he was called to the Bay Area of California by the Methodist Conference, which is an interesting call to get for a pastor.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was probably in his mid-50s at that point, and he was called out to minister to that group. Well, if you think about the mid-60s in the Bay Area of California, it's quite an interesting time. You've got the flower power movement. You've got some instability politically. You've got a lot of different socioeconomic collisions occurring in that part of the world, and young people trying to stretch their wings and become who they're going to be. And my grandpa was called out there to be a part of that, and he spent 5 years doing radio addresses.
Okay.
So that would be broadcast across the entire West Coast. And those radio addresses, my maternal grandmother saved those radio addresses.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so we weren't able to get them all like audio, but we were able to get the full transcripts. And so those transcripts eventually became some stories that my grandfather used and became a memoir book called Backpacking in a Cultural Wilderness that he gave to all of his kids. And so in that way, I was at a time where my faith was, when I was a kid, I heard Grandpa wrote this book because his version of it came out like in 1986.
Right.
And I was 16. So I was pretty focused on the things 16-year-old boys are focused on, which is nothing to do with faith or, I was more Coors Light than I was
Seeing the light.
Yeah, right. Amen. Amen. Amen.
At least you had some sort of light in your eyes. Right?
So I tried to read some of his work, and I just couldn't quite get there. But as I matured, as I became a family, as Luke came into to Marie and Mai's world, and then Allie, and then Zach, I started to take some of these thoughts and these and the family history that I come from more seriously. And when I reread Grandpa's Gift with the 32, 33-year-old eyes, something clicked.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know in the book you said, Grandpa's book, you realized you discovered something that I was looking for, and it shook me. In Jesus of Nazareth, we firmly believe that God intervened in human history by giving us, in human form, a definition of his own spirit, a delineation of his hopes for mankind, an invitation to step up to a new level of personal and social living. And since we know about him, we cannot avoid doing something about him. Whether we follow him or deliberately ignore him, God has intervened in our lives by requiring us to choose.
Yeah.
And that was kind of even when I reread it, it was like, wow, that was deep in thought.
Right.
And I get that. I can see why that would give you impact.
Well, I think for both of you guys, I think it's kind of interesting because, both of you come from pastoral lineage. And so,
God did not call either one of us. Well, there must be a reason.
But that's part of the. That's
there may be things
question,
he calls us, but
right?
it made right. Yeah.
They have a natural platform, because God provided it. But at the end of the day, all of us have some sort of platform, right?
Absolutely.
And both of you were deeply impacted, by the pastoral roots,
Right.
which has led to a book for both of you.
Yeah.
Your first book that you wrote, Head North, is a lot of the principles that your dad taught you.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Grandpa's Gift is a lot of the gifts that your grandpa taught you. But even though you guys don't have a pulpit, that you speak from, how have you guys found the lessons? Obviously the book that you've each written is one way, but how have you guys found those lessons? How have you used those lessons to impact your day-to-day living, and how do you find your voice in a different way, because you might not be in the pulpit, but yet God's given you your own pulpit, your own platform to use.
Yeah. I mean, for me, thanks, Nick. For me, there's 5 kind of invitations in the book. The first one I had to get through was going to kind of give the world the Heisman. That's that first, the Heisman Trophy has got the guy with the ball and his arms stick out and he's holding. And so in my mind, the world is down here, and you're pushing that world's invitation to how you ought to live, how you're going to orient your life. Yeah. You're kind of pushing that world's message away, and you're looking for a different kind of message, maybe one that transcends all of the corporate invitations to what life should be like and things. So that was a first part for me. I had to decide that I wasn't going to be moved by what the world thought I ought to be moved by. Yeah. Secondly, I was going to get very bold and watch what happens. Because so when Kevin reads that line, that's what froze me.
Sure.
When I had the right mind to read it, that line froze me in my seat, because I did know who Jesus was, and I did know what Gospels say he did, and I did also know the history, that this is a real figure who lived, and I could quantify it with all the information we have available to us. When I put those things together, and people say, well, I don't know how God intervenes in your life. I'm like, well, how about, and that was like, whoa, how about that figure?
Right.
How about that very real person who came in and the resulting something had to have happened, or Christianity doesn't even exist.
Right.
I thought, because he either did or he didn't.
Right.
And if he did, how am I going to,
changes everything.
How am I going to respond to that in my day-to-day interaction? So that's where be bold, watch what happens came from. And from there, I find that the more I grab onto his truths as the best way that I can explain them to people, but his truths in my conversations, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's anywhere I am, he's gonna come into that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know how conversations can go better when the very real Holy Spirit is
And
helping.
the third group was find love in any relationship.
Yeah, right.
Right. And that, again, that related to be a living example of the transformational power of love. So
Yeah.
another reason why I kind of wanted to have you on and specifically talk about this. It seems like, one of the struggles I always had was growing up in a family that practices following Christ, is that it's transformational for all of us, but I grew up kind of in you're 18 or 16, I guess, at the time, when I just thought, okay, I got to profess my faith. This is my time. It was still radical, but I went through a time where I got almost envious of people who were clearly headed down, and I really was there too. I don't know why I'm distinguishing the difference.
But
But
like a radical transformation.
yeah, it
of
wasn't,
sorts,
but it
and-
really was. I feel it's almost more at risk when you've grown up in it, is to just kind of,
Meh.
and that's a fear of not going down a really bad road and getting that coming back. But yeah, the number 3 was the one that stuck out for me, was just finding love in every relationships, because I'd have to admit I'm maybe a little more judgmental than I should be.
Sure.
And sometimes people come into your relationship and God puts them there, I believe, to kind of show you where your walk is. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, better back up because your judgmental thing. And then inside of each, you have 5.
Yeah.
And then you have sermons that you identified in those.
Yeah, my grandfather's messages, right? That made me, that helped me develop that kind of approach to my walk.
Well, the other thing that really stood out for me, now, kids will or parents will name their kids Trey, and then you can tell they're great basketball shooters.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
C. Maxwell Brown.
Right.
You just know you got to be
It's something.
either a writer or you are a
pastor.
You are a evangelical. You're out on the.
My parents
on
should
your
have named me
tents.
Bench. That should have been my name if that's how it goes.
Well, but the thing that really struck me when when I listened to my dad's sermons, my dad wrote them all out longhand, but he had a photographic memory, so he would memorize them. But he always had them all written out. So somebody came and said, "Reverend, you said this." He'd say, "Well, let's see what I said," and he would go through it. His written word was totally different, had a totally different impact than when it was spoken. But your grandfather, when I was reading through the sermons, we don't talk that way anymore.
I know.
It was not old English kind of, but it was you had to listen
Nearly
pretty
70
intently.
years old, right?
Yeah,
right.
because the mastery of the language was beautiful. Just the way he would describe it, things, great detail, and it was a little work the first time to read the first one, because you just don't hear or read that way.
Right.
But afterwards, I got done reading, I think, okay, it just flowed naturally. I mean, beautiful language.
Interesting you mentioned that, Kevin, because I've had many conversations with folks who mentioned similar experiences with the book, where the way that I'll write is a very different style, more conversational, more accessible than my grandfather's style, but it kind of, I was hoping that would add, that these kind of conversations would come out of it. That this wisdom supersedes generational change. It might come out in a different way. It may read different. It may hit your head differently, but the messages in it are the constant invitations of a very real and very present Lord. Yeah. And that's regardless of language.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I know that in the Dutch sometimes, I'm going to say this wrong because I didn't really learn it, but they would call it like plankton or something.
Yeah.
It's a preacher's voice.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily want to have that. And I wouldn't say that's what he had.
No.
It was just a mastery of the language
Yeah.
of that many years ago. It's really, really intriguing to read.
Yeah.
I found that very
But it is
fascinating.
neat how you bookend it, though. I mean, your thoughts of kind of an introduction to what this section of messages means, and then the recap. It does. It's a cool tie, and I think you hit on what hit me the most is that this is never changing. Like the message has been what the message has been for generations and generations and generations, and it's going to hit each generation a little bit different, but the message is always the same.
Christ died for my
issues are the
sins.
same.
The issues are the same.
Stuff we're going through
Christ
today.
died for my sins. I'm a sinner, and it's a call to me. And do I accept that call?
Yeah, we can't modernize enough of our lives. We can't create enough devices. We can't build enough super space stations.
Right.
We can't do enough things to change the very real God-breathed wisdom that comes through the ages. And that took me a very long time to get to that place where I realized old wisdom can inspire new life. And so I am a product of that. And Lord willing, I try to work that out every day of my life. And some days I feel like I'm connected in better than others. But when I'm trying to channel Him in every interaction, I am surprised that it is met with typically more patience from the other side of the table, even if it's antagonistic.
Sure.
Even if it's someone who's been hurt by the church, or hurt by something, or confused about something, whatever it may be.
So I was kind of curious, how many messages or sermons were you able to have access to? Did you go through all of them? I mean, how did you go through the process of saying, did you feel, this goes here, or...
That took a little while.
Yeah.
So I was able to find 30 different messages. Okay. And I took 15 of them for the book. There are 15 other incredible ones.
Sure.
But as my decisions, as I was kind of working out, again, how I was going to orient my life, those were the 15 that kind of stuck out as I started to make those decisions.
So we're going to have a Grandpa keeps giving.
Another re-gift.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So number 4, history matters, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I think that's so important. And even though history can be so unbelievably boring for people, I am a product of both my father side of our family, which is very, very different upbringing than my grandfather's.
Sure.
But the history side of it's part of it. The geeky, weird, get into this deeper side of it is definitively the brown side.
Okay.
And so I think if I can be bold in how I address it, if I can love people right in all relationships, I mean, the 2 greatest commandments, right? Love the Lord, love others. Yeah. And if I can do those things well, I want to understand the how and why.
Right.
And I feel the how and the why come from the Gospels.
Certainly.
And certainly Old Testament is so important to understand how Israel worked this out, sometimes effectively, sometimes not so effectively, right, resulting in the need for God to bring His Son into the world. And we're coming up to the Easter season now, which is just an incredible time in the church. But I have spent so much time reading, visiting with scholars, which sounds so weird to say. But it's true. Like, I'll seek people out who are historians, who know and have studied the ancient scriptures, the ancient histories, all of it. And I will spend time trying to learn what they've learned, whether it's through their books, whether it's through their podcasts, whether it's whatever, through TV programs. I'm interested in those things. Okay. And I've become increasingly satisfied that this very real figure called Jesus Christ not only lived, not only did the things He said He did, but became, sin so we could be released from it. It's a strange concept.
Right, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, my homework, if you will, my life work to deliver has never been, so you have to know where it comes from. Right. So because you rest on that bedrock.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So then you finished the 5 series with What About the Future? Yeah. So what about the future? Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, that's I am no great predictor of things. But what I can say is this: In the years that I have been walking what I talk in the book, my relationships have grown richer with the depth of fellowship that I didn't realize was possible. I don't have a ton of surface area relationships. My good friend Tom Henderson refers to them refers these things as deal friends, not real friends.
Correct.
And so I don't have a ton of deal friends. I'm developing more real friends. And I think if we're going to be in fellowship with one another, and if we are loving the Lord's invitation to love him by loving others, then I think the future looks brighter the more often the entirety of our civilization can do those things.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things when I look out today. And I remember when I was a teenager, I know my parents were pretty convinced that generation was, as Dad would say, going to hell in a handbasket. But that hasn't changed. It's a different set. The one thing I notice has really changed, though, is we have more social mediums, but yet we're less social than we've ever been.
Yeah.
People have all kinds of friends on Facebook, but if they showed up, unless it was a post on their thread,
Right.
they really wouldn't even hardly know this friend.
Right.
We're missing that, and part of that, the extension of that, is we're also missing that wisdom of that older generation, because we're not dialoguing anymore. We're just throwing out our opinions instead of saying, and if somebody pushes back, unfriend. That's not what we were put on this planet to do. I mean, part of our call is to cherish those relationships and be a part of life.
But I think it's our Pastor Sunday preached a sermon from Joshua where they had the Ark of the Covenant, and it was someone's job to carry basically the presence of the Lord, right? And the challenge was well, who's choosing to carry that now? That looks a little different,
Sure.
with everything, the gift that Jesus gave us and the Holy Spirit that lives inside of us. So who's choosing to carry the presence? Would someone look at our life and the way we choose to live it, and can that show differently? And how do you act that out on a daily basis, and why does it matter? I think that's what I find interesting. You talked about the Heisman deal in the first part of the book, and I had that written as a question because you said in your intro to that section, that basically, what do you give the Heisman to? And it's the climbing the ladder, the ways of the world, the chase for success, the pursuit of relevance. And you say in there that you've done all that. You've held all those things in your hand. You've carried that presence, right? Sure. And I have in my ways, and you have in your ways. Yeah. And I think all of us have gotten to a point where you realize that none of that satisfies. And that's the whole idea of the true wealth concept. The giving the Heisman to these things is the same thing that you are talking about when you talk about true wealth, Kevin, and you say it's all the things that money can't buy and death can't take away, or it's the proper balance between your physical, your emotional, your spiritual life, and money's flowing into all of it. But as a guy who's held those things in your hand, and unpack that a little bit. What did you experience through that? Because people would look at your life and go, "Wow, that guy's been wildly successful." Yeah. And he's telling me that doesn't matter?
Right.
What?
Yeah. Well, that won't keep your soul lit up at night. Those things won't provide the security against that which in our deepest core selves we all fear, and that is, do I measure up? I can create client. For my work in Hub, I'm responsible to develop new relationships for the firm. I could sell 100 new, incredibly great groups that would have with it a certain monetization reward for doing well. I could do that over and over, and my firm would love me.
Sure.
The shareholders who own Hub would put me up on pedestals, and they would give me awards and
statue.
Right, and those are great earthly. You feel good about doing well with your brethren at work. We have a great organization, but at the end, that won't satisfy my core longing to belong, because that is not belonging to the world is not our ultimate goal, nor our ultimate destination, our ultimate home. It is in the welcoming arms of a spirit, of a father, of a figure that we hear about, and I know interacts in our world, because so many of these things happen not by my hand.
Right.
And so those things, Nick, it's a good question. None of those things can keep me ultimately comfortable. I think I describe it as I could have a 10,000 count pillow, thread count on my pillow. I can have a room that costs X thousands of dollars a night. It doesn't matter. Yeah. None of those things are going to provide the ultimate security my soul needs, that I need, that my family needs, that your family needs, that any of us need. And when you tap into the idea that you have a real need for a certain security, and your life's walk, who you are, how you orient yourself matters in the response to that invitation, then you start to realize, oh my gosh, all the things I may have been chasing, this relevancy in corporate structure and business is certainly important, because it allows for a platform,
right?
But it does not allow me to be permanently held.
I'm glad you're on for a couple reasons, because this allows me to go back and correct something I think I've said in one of the earlier episodes. Because I think I originally said, I think by God's design we were created with a hole, but that probably isn't correct, because his design was perfect. Sin opened a hole that I think he oversaw. If that's theologically, I'm wrong on some of this by a lot of counts. But that we have a hole that we try to fill with something. Yeah. And some people, it is the next quota. It is a sale. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be things that aren't healthy for us. And that's a continual call or a pull to bring us back to want to be whole, which really only he
but I think that's the stress of life, right? Like, it's because it's all temporal,
Yes.
it could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's, you're building on a shaky foundation. And I think, you're constantly having to strive, because you don't know that it's gonna be there tomorrow. And the stress of carrying that is significant. So you see a lack of peace, in the lives that people have these days, because we're all striving for things that our culture tells us are important and necessary. And so I guess for me, it's, I love the books that both of you guys have written. And I think the challenge to me has always been, if you didn't seek these out, they gather dust, and they might not see the light of day. So one, it's a thank you to both of you guys for choosing to carry the light, that was written from both of your families from I was going to say long ago, but that makes you guys sound old.
I am old.
That's probably accurate.
From back in the day. But I think the challenge then is that we all have a message to carry. I think my challenge sometimes is, that someone else will do that. Dan will say that. Kevin will say that. Someone else will do that. But at what point do I decide, that it's my job to carry this message and share this message, and what am I going to be built on? And I think that's where, like, I was looking at even getting into this industry. I gave the Heisman to this industry for a long time. There are opportunities that arose to get into this prior to joining Kevin, and it was conversations with him and listening to him talk about true wealth and how he works with clients that were like, well, that's very different. That's very different than what you hear in other aspects of this industry, because what you see is that so many people come to us and think that they want us to build them the biggest pile of money possible,
for sure. Right?
And that's going to satisfy. Yeah. And it's just, I think you have I think you've shared a story on this podcast, even, where what was enough? Well, just one more dollar. One more dollar, and it's always one more dollar. And at the end of the day, it never satisfies, and it's never enough. So if we're helping lead people, what are we leading them to? Right.
Well, you know what? I think I just heard a book.
He's got one coming.
I think I just heard a book in there.
Yeah.
So as someone who was resisting this industry so long, how many people are worried that they're not enough to be able to effectively participate in helping people manage, the things of their world, and maybe it's their estate, maybe it's their wealth plan, maybe it's how many people don't feel confident, don't feel like, oh, I'm not worthy enough to do that.
Sure.
Well, I would say that if that's the way you feel, I totally understood. You know what that feels like.
Sure.
Yep.
It sounds like to me.
Right.
So then as you come back around and realize that this is the Lord's invitation.
Yeah.
All throughout Scripture we see the Lord using individuals, some broken, all of them broken, and some in a different way but people of means. I think about Boaz, and I think about Ruth, and I think about Naomi, and I think about, those are Old Testament conversation, but they are people where having means to help provide for and being faith. There are so many interwoven stories of that. So helping people steward that.
Yeah. Right.
Versus grow it.
Yep.
Or gather it.
Yep.
But steward it. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
So I'm also curious, when you started writing the book, Grandpa's Gift, was it as much a dedication to your grandpa and everything else came out of it? Did you have a different vision for it first, and this was kind of the means? Because I know when I started Head North, it really was probably as much initially as a testament of a son to his father. And then as I got into it deeper, it just kept opening up. It's like, oh, there's so much more here. Was it any different than that?
Yeah. So as I was reading my grandpa's messages, I started to really, really respond to them in a way that was different than I ever had when I tried previously. And I started to really think, this is really interesting stuff. So I actually brought those messages to my pastor, Adam Weber, at Embrace. And I said, Adam, will you take a look at this and tell me what you think? These are messages from, so long ago. Right. But I really think there's some applicability here. In there, and so Adam agreed. He took the book, and Adam gets books every day from people.
Sure.
But he took the book, and over time he read it. He talks a little bit about it in the foreword here, and then he came back to me and said, "Hey, you have to do this."
Sure. Well, that was what was impressive. So you gave it to him looking for guidance, and he was moved equally enough to write a very good forward in the book.
Yeah, and I was so thankful for it. Right, and his encouragement to say these are relevant conversations, even 60, 70 years later.
Right.
These are relevant. You should do this. I think it's good for people if you do. And I said, oh my word, I don't want to do this. I'm in the middle of a busy career. I'm in the middle of all the things. I got young kids. But at the end of the day, that it stuck with me that Adam, again, in a moment of fellowship, right?
Correct.
My pastor saying to me, there's something your grandpa had. You could say a few things about it, not distract from those.
Correct.
And talk about your walk and how a family, we're just one family in an ocean of people.
Absolutely.
But,
well, I know we could go on for hours, and maybe we already have. I've kind of lost track of time. I know we violated our 25-minute thing, but I didn't expect anything less with Dan being here. But great book. But what's the one thing you would want people, hopefully, to gather from it? Or what's the one thing that you hope people get out of Grandpa's Gift?
Christ is real. There is a very practical application of his gifting to the world that can be used each and every day in each and every interaction, that can actually help you navigate, orient your life in a way that helps you receive the peace that passes understanding.
Awesome.
And it is a amazingly practical wisdom that comes from sharing that
right.
with people, and there are going to be hard, awful, ridiculously, incredibly difficult things that happen in the world. And I'd rather have a spirit working in and around all of the awful.
Yeah.
So whether it's happening to me or to someone I know, I can try to provide a sense of peace in every situation, and it has been life-giving
Awesome.
for us.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Nick, any other closing questions or comments?
I got hundreds back there.
Well, we'll get them back, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the only one I would say is, because I'm going to take it back to Rock Ranch because I'm wearing your shirt.
Thank you.
And I'm going to try to tie it back in. So you Heisman to the world. You could have made a lot of different choices. You still could make a lot of different choices. But what is it inside of you that has said, you know what, in lieu of that additional vacation, in lieu of that other place, in lieu of, and those aren't overtly bad things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're choosing to invest in a different way in this culture today. Like, what was it? Was it something that happened through this book, or how did that come to be for you?
So with Rock Ranch, and I think what you're saying is why spend so much time investing in Rock Ranch, maybe versus some other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would say there is, well, first of all, we were invited. We feel like the Holy Spirit intervened in our lives to say, you need to do this. And I'm not a guy that's going to say no to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the repercussions of that. But at the end of the day, I think this. I have seen so many beautiful landscapes in my life. I have seen incredible works of nature and incredible works of man in the cities of the world, here in the U.S., in Europe, Australia, other places. We've been able to travel and experience so much of everything that is so, I mean, my breath's been taken away by the beauty of the world. I don't think I can replace the smile on the face of a person who has been given a new outlook on life, or who for the first time feels confident enough to have owned something that they worked hard to be a part of in maybe training their horse. The joy that comes from people through the investment we make in Rock Ranch, I can't replace the smiles. There isn't.
And that's really where a lot of the proceeds of Grandpa's Gifts go to, right? It goes to help support the ministry of Rock Ranch.
Right. Yeah. Every penny from it.
So if people want to get a copy of Grandpa's Gift, where do they go?
Anywhere books are sold. So if you are a person that buys books on Amazon, you'll find it there. If you're a person who buys books, if you like audiobooks, we did an audio version of it. And actually, my grandfather's youngest son, Wesley Brown, does my grandfather's readings.
That sounds a lot like
he
him.
Does.
That's
fun.
cool.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
awesome.
And
That is
so
cool.
he's awesome. And Uncle Wes is now 86, 87, but he still has a great voice for that. So he does those. If you're a person that goes, there a few Crossroads here carries the book in town. But if you're out and around the region, anywhere books are sold, you can find Grandpa's Gift.
Awesome. And if you still can't find one, just email info@Pinnacle Wealth and we'll put you together
wonderful.
and we'll
Yep.
make sure we get a copy to them. Great reading. Really encourage you to get out. Dan, thanks for being here with us today. It's always a pleasure to have you come on the podcast. Kind of an extension, in there. True Wealth covers so many different things, but it was really neat to be able to highlight that in Grandpa's Gift. You really should get a copy of this and read it. Would love to even hear your feedback as listeners into how this may have touched your life. So thanks for joining us today on another episode of the True Wealth Podcast. We look forward to being back with some other exciting episodes in the future. But wherever you listen, whether it's Apple iTunes or our YouTube channel or Spotify, follow, whatever their format is, make sure you subscribe. help us expand the True Wealth Nation so we can help other people who are looking to experience a life confidently enjoyed can find direction and resources to have that happen, because the pinnacle of wealth is true wealth. Thanks, Dan, and we will be back soon.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Kevin.
listening.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks.
Yes,